If you look at Polymarket, they're pretty skeptical. They're putting a 65% chance of a recession in 2025, but I actually think that's overly pessimistic, and it's not too late to reverse this as long as we get some tariff clarity. And the stock market is really, I think, evidence that a lot of bad news is priced in. GDP was reported Wednesday morning. The stock market opened down 2.5%, but look at what happened over the course of Wednesday. We had a nice recovery into the afternoon and a huge rise into the close.
Tom Lee begins by revisiting a framework he laid out previously, 5 potential signals that would indicate the market has officially bottomed. The final checkpoint on that list was for the S&P 500 to retrace 50% of its previous losses, meaning a close above 5,491. That event finally occurred on April 25th, and with that milestone, Lee believes all 5 indicators are now aligned, suggesting we've hit the structural low for the year and possibly for 2025 as a whole.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
Now, last week we talked about how we saw 5 potential signs that confirmed the market made its low. And the 5th one we were waiting for was for the S&P to retrace 50% of its losses or close above 54.91. But that did happen on April 25th. So I do think that we now have a constellation of factors here telling us the market made its structural low and the probable low for 2025. I think we've got some evidence of that in this week's macro results. On Wednesday, there was 3 economic reports that were critical: Employment Cost Index, first quarter GDP, and March core PCE inflation. But Exhibit A of a bottom is the GDP for first quarter. It was a negative GDP number, the worst GDP growth since first quarter 2022. But before you start to think the economy has slipped into a recession, keep in mind that the reason GDP was negative in the first quarter was that the U.S. had a huge surge in imports. Companies were ordering a lot of imports. Now, imports subtract from GDP because they're made from somewhere else. So, as we bring it in, it's actually subtracting from GDP. But we pulled in a lot of imports, but inventories, which is what would show up here, didn't rise as much. So it's like a mystery. What happened? We imported a lot of stuff, but didn't show up in inventory. Part of this is because inventory goes into this mysterious place called the bonded warehouse, which some people have talked about. And this is from Craig Fuller talking about ships at sea. And bonded warehouses store goods without paying tariffs. Actually, bonded warehouses were actually first mentioned in a movie called Tenet. I don't know if you saw it. It came out during COVID. But part of the plot line is that there are goods kept in airport warehouses, so you're not paying duties or taxes. And these are bonded warehouses. And of course, in that movie, they were breaking into the airport to steal some critical items. But with negative GDP in the first quarter, I think it was pretty well socialized, meaning people knew about it. But the rest of 2025 is going to be quite messy because you'll get a rebound in second quarter GDP, but then Q3 and Q4 GDP this year have a lot of tariff distortions. But I think that's the thing. The market's going to focus on 2026 and whether or not tariff policies are going to lead to upside to growth next year. If you look at Polymarket, they're pretty skeptical. They're putting a 65% chance of a recession in 2025. But I actually think that's overly pessimistic, and it's not too late to reverse this as long as we get some tariff clarity. And the stock market is really, I think, evidence that a lot of bad news is priced in. GDP was reported Wednesday morning. The stock market opened down 2.5%, but look at what happened over the course of Wednesday. We had a nice recovery into the afternoon and a huge rise into the close. And of course, the question is, why are people buying stocks on a day when you had bad GDP? Well, part of it is maybe because of April month end, CTAs do algorithmic buying. The second is, and I believe this is true, at sentiment's so bad that economic news is bad news is priced in. I mean, that's, I think, another example of a washed out stock. I mean, here's articles talking about a long bear market. I think those are contrarian bullish signals. And of course, money has been flowing out of the markets because people had to pay taxes. Okay, and as I mentioned before, I think that these are affirming that there's 5 signs of a bottom, which I covered earlier. And of course, you can watch last week's video as we explain each of these. And I think that the bottom line on the macro is 2026 is what's going to matter. I think that's the conclusion more and more people are going to come to, because we want to ask, are we in a path for upside to 2026 earnings forecasts? And it ultimately lays on whether or not tariff negotiations are successful. So that's the key thing to watch. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says one trade deal is done. It's a big one, and I think the first one is an important one. He's just waiting for approval from the country's leaders. Peter Navarro added on top of that saying India, possible trade deal with India, and he says that he's just waiting for the Parliament and Prime Minister to approve it. So I think markets are in a better place, bottom line, than they were a week ago and 2 weeks ago. Now, if you're wondering what our granny shots are, it refers to an unconventional way to do a free throw, popularized by Rick Barry, NBA Hall of Famer, made 90% of its shots versus traditional free throwers. The way we implement granny shots is we look at key structural themes, things that'll last multiple years, like millennials, global labor suppliers and the rise of AI automation, energy and cybersecurity, as well as easing financial conditions. And we have shorter term themes like style tilt, seasonality, and PMI recovery. But we look for the stocks that are most strongly correlated with these themes. But to be a granny shot, it has to appear in more than one theme. It can't just be one theme, otherwise it's not a granny shot. So the stocks that appear in the most themes are the strongest granny shots. And that's what really makes I think the core of our holdings.
That kind of consistency across fundamental performance and stock price reaction is what validates Tom Lee's broader thesis that high-conviction stocks tied to long-term themes are worth sticking with. 2 names stood out in particular, Microsoft and Meta, both part of the so-called Mag 7. After reporting, both saw strong stock price surges, continuing the trend of mega-cap tech leadership.
In terms of weekly performance, for the past week, granny shots gained 7.8% compared to a 4.6% gain for the S&P 500, and that leads to relative performance of 300 basis points for the week. In terms of relative performance, the top 5 contributors to performance were Palantir, Tesla, MicroStrategy, GE Vernova, and Netflix. The bottom 5 contributors to performance were S&P Global, Bank of New York, Progressive Corp, Abbott Labs, and Costco. We're in the middle of earnings season for Q1 2025. Now, this is the earnings season ending March, so it's not going to yet reflect the impact from tariffs. But so far, 19 of the 35 granny shot stocks have reported results, as this table shows. And the numbers have been relatively positive. 79% of the companies are beating on both earnings and revenue. And in price performance, whether it's 1 day or 5 day, 81% are beating the S&P 1 day on the day they report, which is what you want to see. And 1 week later, 75% are outperforming. These are good stats, and it shows you that the fundamentals remain attractive for the granny shot stocks. Now, let's look at earnings for this particular week, the week of April 25th. There are a lot of companies that are reporting, and some yet to report for the week. We're highlighting the 13 granny shots reporting this week. And as you can see, it's quite a lot. For Wednesday after the close, there are 2 names that I want to highlight, Microsoft and Meta, because they're part of the Mag 7. And as you can see, after they report results, their stocks are up very strongly. In terms of theme performance, leading granny is energy and cybersecurity, which continues to be led by Palantir and GE Vernova, but CrowdStrike, and these are all relative performance, are all contributing. The second best performing strategy is style tilt, which is done quarterly, but again, it's led by names like Palantir, MicroStrategy, GE Vernova. And the third is global labor suppliers. Now, that may not be a surprise to you, but of course, we are dealing with a lot of tariff uncertainty. But as you can see, the stocks that are related to helping U.S. gain productivity are outperforming.
When looking at theme-specific performance, energy and cybersecurity came out on top this week, driven by names like Palantir, GE Vernova, and CrowdStrike. The next best was Style Tilt, followed by global labor suppliers, which are seeing strong momentum due to rising productivity needs amid tariff concerns and reshoring efforts. These leading themes show a market that's no longer obsessed with defensive plays, but is now seeking exposure to areas of future growth. Another signal that investor psychology is shifting toward offense, not defense. Please like and subscribe.